My name is Jennifer. My pronouns her, she, right? And I identify as a lesbian. So I kind of grew up a little bit everywhere. So I was born in New York. After living in New York for maybe like 6-7 years, I moved down here to San Antonio for a little bit, moved to Utah, then moved back to San Antonio, and from San Antonio I lived in Dominican Republic for about a year, and then came back and kind of just ended up here. The one thing that never changed no matter where I moved was my family. They're Dominican. And so growing up with them, I guess they're like different in a way. They're not like necessarily super strict. And even if they're not accepting of you, like family is everything to them. So they'll always love you no matter what. But that's not to say like that they haven't done some things that, you know, can be hurtful. They're just they're very much about family. So growing up with my mom, I never really had to worry about much. She always made sure that I was taken care of, my brother as well. And she just was always loving. Like, I never had to really question whether my mom loved me or not. I mean, I went through like my teenage rebellion stage, but she loved me through all of it. It's kind of sad, like realizing now that I'm older that she did, and I didn't see it then, but I see it now. And I think our relationship has grown strongly from it. Funny story. So like I always had like crushes on like my female classmates and stuff. Like if I saw a girl, and I didn't really know what it was called, and I didn't think that anything was wrong with me because we never really talked about it. But I was watching Dodgeball, and at the end, they're like, "Hey, told you she was a lesbian." And she turns around and she's like, "I'm a bisexual," and then like kisses, what's his name, Vince? I think that's his name, the actor. And then I was like, huh, so that's what it's called. Because I was still kind of confused about whether I liked boys or not. I never really had relationships when I was younger. Like, I never had a boyfriend or a girlfriend. I was kind of like a really late bloomer. But there was one girl in particular that I just head over heels fell in love with, did everything for. And that's when I kind of realized, like, that's it. Like, this is it. This is who I am. And I'm not ashamed of it at all. I never felt the need to say anything about it because it was not an abnormal thing. Like, I didn't grow up hearing gays sin. As a matter of fact, I didn't really hear a lot about homosexuality growing up, so. I told at the time, one of my classmates actually, you know, that I felt like I may have been bisexual. And so I was in ROTC, I was part of the unarmed drill team at the time. And we were in the classroom getting ready for drill practice. And she kind of came up to me, we were talking about it because we got interrupted earlier in the day. So we kind of continued talking about it, kind of telling her, you know, I didn't realize, like, you know, I didn't realize what I was actually telling myself yet. Like, this is who I am. And she kind of encouraged me. She said, I mean, I'm gay, no problems. And so that's kind of like when I decided. And one of the other classmates kind of overheard. And so she like stood up and she's like, "Nin, you're gay?" And then it just kind of trickled. Everybody was like, Nin's a lesbian? And it just kind of became a thing at school. I the time nobody in my house knew yet. But yeah, that's kind of like how that happened. My actual coming out, because I didn't come out to my family myself. I had the girl that I was interested in high school, I had lent her my cell phone because she needed to use it. And she was like, I'll give it back to you, the next time I see you. And apparently she had like bought a whole bunch of stuff that I didn't realize that charged to my mom's bill. And so she found out about it, and she ended up taking me to school because I panicked and I told her she stole my phone, like a dummy. And so like we go, I didn't realize my mom was going to take me to school. I figured I'd just go to school, get the phone, give it back to her. I was super nervous. And no, we went to the school with her. They called the person at the time, and she came in with the phone, and my mom's like, she says you stole the phone and then, charged all of this stuff to my account, like what's going on? And she was like, oh, I didn't steal it. She let me use it. And she goes, why would she do that? And she was like, because she's in love with me. And my mom looked at me and she's like, what? After that, my mom she was more upset that I lied to her, that I didn't tell her that I just let her use the phone. And then my mom was like, just so you know, I don't care if you're gay, just you shouldn't, in more work safe and work appropriate words, my mom was like, you shouldn't let women treat you like that. She's like, I didn't raise you to be nobody's, little puppy. Like, I don't care if you're with a man or a woman, just don't do that. And at that moment, like, I loved her so much. I was like, it was trying for her. It was confusing for her because she didn't necessarily get it. In her mind, she would tell me all the time, if you're a woman who wants to kiss a woman, you want to be a guy. That was my mom. But now, like today, I'm engaged. My fiance has a daughter, so it's my daughter. And the first time my mom met her, that's her granddaughter. First time meeting her, that's her granddaughter. And, to like kind of see my mom kind of evolve from being just as confused as I was, and I didn't even realize it, to where she's at now is amazing, amazing, amazing. So I have kind of like, I guess, mixed feelings about it, because we all know Texas is a really conservative state. But I live in such a liberal city that I've never really experienced homophobia from like others. I mean, with my family specifically, they would crack jokes here and there that now, like, I don't get offended by anything. I laugh at stuff that I probably shouldn't even laugh at, but if you don't laugh at them, you're just giving it power, so I really don't let it bother me. But when I was younger growing up, I would hear these comments and jokes, mainly because my mom didn't understand, really. I mean, she never disowned me, but outside of that, I've never really experienced any kind of homophobia from anybody, really. More so with religion, like the religious people here, they not necessarily like come up to me and say something like you're going to hell or anything like that, but they'll preach. Like, I've had that happen where I've left school getting ready to go to the mall after school, and there's a group of churchgoers, kind of telling us about the Word of God and how we should probably reconsider our life choices, but they weren't necessarily disrespectful. So having that kind of perspective in such a liberal city, I feel like kind of empowered me to realize that I'm not wrong, but they're also not necessarily wrong because that's what they believe in. And if they can respect me as a human being, even if they don't approve of my lifestyle, then I feel like that just makes all around better people. So I've kind of had a pretty smooth navigation throughout my entire life. Well, first, I wouldn't pretend to know where they're coming from, but I'm not ignorant either. I know that it happens. I know that people get killed for it. People get disowned by their families for it. They're put in conversion therapy sessions that are harmful, that makes them question their very existence. I would just kind of tell them, especially nowadays, there are so many people now that are speaking out against it, even if they're not gay themselves. Like, we have so many allies now, we have so many resources that, yeah, maybe where they live it's not available. I would just kind of tell them, like, hey, if you're unhappy where you're at, don't give them the power of tearing you down to the point where you want to end your life because you don't feel like you belong. Come out. Like, there's other places out there. You're not alone. You're just in one small little segment. You're in one small little town, or, you know, and it's probably all you ever known. So I know that it's very, I guess, like, nerve-wracking to want to leave what you've grown around. But if you don't break free from that, you'll never be able to fully live your life. And everybody's life is precious, so why, waste it where I don't want to sound really harsh, but, if that's how you're being treated, why stay there when there's so many other places you can go? I mean, in California, I think, San Francisco is like the biggest gay capital in the United States of America. And there's people that go to California daily, just like people are moving to Texas. I mean, Austin and San Antonio are very big liberal cities where we have so many resources for the gay community. I'm guilty of going to the gay strip every day. And it's not even about drinking alcohol. It's about being in a place where I know I'm accepted, where I see so many different people having so much fun and living their true selves. It's a beautiful thing. So kind of hindering yourself seems like a waste, really. I think, and this is probably an issue, probably not a lot of people share the same sentiment, but from my perspective, so of course, like, I spend a lot of time on Facebook. A lot of people nowadays do, whether it's Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, you name it. And there's an overabundance of, I feel like, fake articles that are coming out, and with headlines. I mean, people don't read the articles as it is. They just go by what the headline says. And so they read some opinionated article by somebody who doesn't have a clue of what's really going on, probably hears one person and runs with it. But these headlines are basically creating false narratives of the things that we believe and the things that we're fighting for. And so it creates this image of we're trying to take over, push our agenda, convert people, do all these things that we're not trying to do, because all we really want to do is exist equally as everybody else does, here, everywhere in the world. We just want to have the same rights everybody else does, which is to live a happy life, to do as we please. And I feel like those articles, they're kind of hindering our ability, because now the people that already had a negative connotation for whatever reason of the LGBTQ community, they now have an even worse perception of it. And so now they really want to get involved because they feel like they're being personally attacked when they're not really. Like, for example, the other day, one of my friends, who happens to be bisexual, he's not really too happy about that with himself, which, to each his own. Love him and support him anyways. But he shared an article about how what they call the alphabet people, which is so derogatory, are attacking Hallmark because we're trying to shove our agenda on Hallmark channels, complaining about the way that they are. And it's like, well, first of all, we're not really complaining about it. We're just, everybody deserves representation. and we're not attacking, especially if it's a group of people that are like, hey, just as a suggestion, would you guys consider doing this? And to like overinflate that is kind of setting back, I feel like, our actual intentions and the things that activists have been able to do for us, you know, since before. So I feel like this overinflation of misinformation is just kind of hurting our image and the way we move forward. The facts that more often than not, there's a lot of people that are aware that it's happening, and a lot of them aren't necessarily part of the gay community. You know, they're our allies, and they're actually speaking out about it. Also, like this year, here specifically in San Antonio, Pride was bigger than ever. So much bigger than last year. And again, it's not just people within the gay community. I mean, I saw a group of church ladies saying, you know, free mom hugs. Like, that's amazing. You know, somebody probably feels like their family doesn't love them. That's helping them. And that gives me hope that no matter how bad things get, more and more people are standing up for us, and they believe in what we're trying to preach, which is we deserve to live a happy life no matter what. And that brings me hope. Like, favorite part about being me? That's a loaded question. I think the favorite part of being me for me is like all of the people in my life that I've met. Truly, honestly, like, and I know everybody always says like I have the greatest mom, or I have the greatest best friend, or, you know, but I truly do feel like I do have the greatest people in my life, and they make my life worth living every day. Through like all of the self-doubt that I may have, any issues that I feel like I have, I know that at the end of the day I can call any number one of them and they will be there on the phone with me to help me through whatever it is. And I feel so fortunate that I have them. It means a lot, actually. There's a lot of companies, I think, out there that kind of graze over that. Like, they say, yeah, we're all inclusive, but they really don't make you feel like you, yourself, and everything that you are has a part in the company. Like, they just make you feel like a regular employee. And I mean, I don't want to say regular employee, but what makes what makes the Hulu culture is that we're all individuals and unique, but at the same time we come together to make this amazing community of people. And the fact that my job gives me a platform that I can showcase that at any given day is, I mean, I'm forever grateful for it, because I know not a lot of people have that support system like that. They don't have that platform to be able to be who they want to be and who they are. And Hulu very much caters to that, and they truly mean it when they say we're all hooligans. They truly mean it, and they show it in every day, every aspect. And I'm very fortunate to be part of that.
So we're going to see you at Sparky's? Is that where you go?
Yeah. I go to Sparky's. I go to the Pegasus right next door. Do some karaoke.